In the year 2215, 2,500 years ago, an old man was staring at his reflection in a pond, looking and wondering about that other self he saw staring back at him. The image started to get younger and younger and younger until the old man saw the face he had when he was just a young man. And then, much to his surprise, the reflection spoke. It asked him a question. It said, "Master, what is real?" The old man took a moment and looked at his other self, staring back at him, and replied, "Real is that which never changes. Real is that which never changes." Has it occurred to you that you also have two selves? You have an earthly self, and you have a higher self, a spiritual self, if you will. Your earthly self is that self you feel when you stub your toe or brush your teeth. The earthly self is that self that gets ready for work or mows the grass or texts your friends. Your earthly self is the self you see when you look in the mirror. Your earthly self is the you see when you look at your reflection. Your higher self, your spiritual self, however, is the one doing the looking. You can step on a scale and weigh your earthly self, but your spiritual self, as real as it is and as much of a part of you as it actually is, has no weight of its own. And you can touch your earthly self, and some do more than others, but you can never touch your spiritual self. But it often touches us. And when it does, it changes everything. The earthly self is the part of you that desires things. Things like wealth. And things like love. Your spiritual self, however, is love. Your earthly self can never forgive. It's simply a body, and a body without spirit lacks the ability to forgive. So if you're ever having difficulty in forgiving someone, if their wrong was just too great, and you just find it very hard to forgive them, or maybe you're having difficulty forgiving yourself, the difficulty comes from attempting to use our earthly self to forgive earthly wrongs and earthly mistakes, when forgiveness can only happen through spirit. I ask you, of the two selves, which one will be with you the longest? That reflection you see in the mirror isn't the same self as it was 5 years ago, or 10 or 20. That self changes. But there is a part of you that never changes. Lao Tzu, the old man, taught us that real is that which never changes. So the real you, your real self, is your higher self. Your true self is your spiritual self. This self is eternal. It existed before your earthly body, and it will be here long after. Some think that the spiritual self inhabits these earthly bodies for the sole purpose so that God can experience itself. And our earthly lives are written in such a way to slowly and sometimes suspensefully reveal our true selves. We needn't ever worry. Worry is simply a prop for the play of these earthly lives. We needn't ever fear or doubt or discourage. This is why all the religions of the world preach faith. We needn't ever anger or regret. Unless, of course, anger, doubt, worry, and regret are what you're wishing to produce. The spirit inside of you is creative, and it will create what your earthly self focuses on. So if you put your focus on abundance, then abundance in your life is what will be created. If you put your focus on peace or healing or love, then your higher self will create those. If you put your focus on despair or depression or wrongs or faults, then your spiritual self will create those. And whatever you focus on will be created with extreme quickness and ease. We can truly transform our lives by simply dropping our earthly anchors and embracing our spiritual wings. As one of our great teachers, Wayne Dyer, taught us, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Our earthly lives and situations are in a constant state of change. Remember, real is that which never changes. Our spiritual selves are in a constant state of creation. That higher self inside of you, that spiritual self inside of you that's looking out from behind your eyes, was given to you by the source of all things. And that source has many names. Some call it God, spirit, soul, awareness, consciousness, Allah. It is known by many, many names. But what I'd like you to realize is that our spirit, your spirit, the spirit you have inside of you, your spiritual self is God. We are not separate from God. God is in all things. And knowing this is what it means to be awakened. And knowing this is how peace is achieved. You see, most problems, small problems and medium problems and large problems, conflicts and wars, and everything in between that's negative, are waged over earthly transgressions and beliefs. All conflicts are over trivial, earthly faults and problems. But as we know, there's a spiritual solution to every problem. And once we embrace our true nature, our true selves, we can usher in a time of unlimited abundance and unlimited joy and endless peace. This is how we reach heaven. Heaven isn't a faraway place that you have to die to get to. Heaven is all around you. It's already here. All we have to do is pull back the curtain of our earthly selves and reveal it. In fact, everything we've ever desired is already here. We just have to stop limiting ourselves. We have to step forward and receive it. This may lead some of us to ask, well, what is the purpose of our earthly selves then? If all can be achieved through spirit, then what's the point? What's the point of our earthly self? Shouldn't it be something that we just avoid completely? To those people I say, no, of course not. There are many joys to be had through our earthly selves. Our earthly selves were never meant to be avoided. They were never meant to be a burden. Our earthly selves were meant to be an absolute joy. We were all meant to do amazing things. You were meant to do amazing things. You are at the age right now that you are supposed to do them. This is the age that you were supposed to be at when you start doing the amazing things through the power of spirit. And you can do that by helping teach peace, teach understanding, teach people not to find the fault in things, in situations. Teach people that if you have the choice to be right or to be kind, choose kindness. Because when you do, suffering disappears. When you choose kindness over being right, suffering disappears. We can help people free themselves from struggle. We do this by embracing our spiritual selves and abandoning the earthly turmoils. Abandon doubt. Abandon doubt. Abandon pain. Abandon fear. Abandon earthly addictions and all frustration. This is how humans bloom. And the bloom of a human is more beautiful than that of any flower. Bloom now and share this knowledge so that others may bloom. Identify with your spiritual self, your higher self, the part of you that never changes. For this is the true you, the eternal you, the you that can do amazing things. Don't let your earthly self stifle the greatness inside of you. A lot of us know the quote, "Be the change." be the change you wish to see, but a lot of us don't know how to do that. We don't know how to take the first step. So I'd like to remind you, we become the change inside the leap of faith. God bless.